The following is for informational purposes only. For medical advice, please see a medical professional.
Welcome to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. Today we're tackling an interesting topic. We are talking about the body's largest organ. Do you know what it is? It's a quiz. It's the skin. And so we're talking about skincare. So, as science-based people who are very interested in our physical bodies, we can't talk about our overall health and skip the skin. Yet I kept delaying this episode because I said to Susie, gosh, if we talk about skincare, people are going to want tips and, what products do we use? And that's not what we're doing. And what I finally realized, Margaret, it's just going to be the same as all your episodes. Science-based, what you know about the science of it, and what your personal experiences are. And in this particular topic, it turns out I have a lot more personal experience with this one. So you're going to be hearing a lot from me on this, and Susie as well. And when we get to talking about our skincare routines, because we have sort of opposite ends of the spectrum on skin, you're going to probably hear like two different routines.
But we have some similarities too, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. So we're talking about the skin. And so I'm just going to start with the science. I decided I'm just going to read a direct quote from the NIH. What it says about skin is it's the primary protective barrier against environmental threats like UV light, pathogens, and physical injury. It regulates body temperature via sweat and blood flow, enables sensation, touch, pain, heat, prevents dehydration, and synthesizes vitamin D. So it's a really important organ.
Yeah.
And yet, I mean, if you think about it, even in the aisles at the drugstore, it's like skin gets lumped in with hair care. Skin and hair care, skin and hair care.
Well, and beauty.
And beauty. And yet, it's the biggest organ in our body. And it does so much. And yet, it's also the organ that we see. I can't think, is there any other organ that you can see on the outside of your body?
No, I don't think so.
So there might be things going on with our other organs.
Maybe are your eyes considered an organ? No.
No, out of sight, out of mind on the other organs, yet we can see our skin. And so it becomes sometimes a source of vanity for some people. It's like how our skin looks. And so I think you can see with me, I don't dye my hair. I don't wear makeup. So you'll see some women our age on these podcasts, they've got lipstick on, they're all done up, they get their hair done before they come on camera. And I've intentionally not done that. It's like, this is what Margaret at 72 looks like. I might put a little bit of something on if I'm going out for my anniversary or something, but not normally. And my husband doesn't even really like me to wear makeup. So this is how my skin looks. And it turns out that it's been a source of difficulty in my life, and you're going to hear about that in a minute. And I mean, this is my personal opinion. It's sort of a pet peeve that the cosmetic industry is such a big money-making venture. It's such a big part of capitalism. And the things that they're recommending to us, they don't, in most cases, at all cure what's going on with our skin. They just cover it up. And so we're paying for cover up, and we know.
And some of it's detrimental too. Some of it's detrimental. In fact, I'll talk in a minute about how you can screen some of those things.
Yes. And, I don't put chemicals in my body. So why would I put chemicals on my body just to make it look different and not show you guys the fact that, okay, Margaret's obviously not use sunscreen as a kid, and there's a lot of damage there. I mean, the thing is, like, of course, you could get plastic surgery if you want to go all the way. You could use certain products that really do
Or you could have a face
lighten.
peel. You
They
can have a
lighten.
face peel.
Yeah,
People do that. I mean, it's like, ooh, kind of scary
and
stuff.
it lightens
Right,
everything going on. But what
right,
Susie and I know is all it's doing is masking. It
right.
doesn't at all determine whether you're going to get some skin cancer on your skin later in life. That was determined at the time you damaged your skin 60
Right.
years ago. And so,
Bathing your out in the sun. Yeah.
yeah. And so we're not going to be making recommendations about cosmetics, but we are going to talk about our skin. Mostly, I'm going to talk about my
Mhm.
skin and share my personal experiences about that. So,
Yeah.
should I
It's
just, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's so important. And your skin changes as you age too. I mean, we can talk about that. I mean, the skin that I had when I was younger is, of course, way different as I've aged. You have to be careful too. I mean, because sometimes skin infections can happen without you even realizing it. You can get a crack in your dry skin and it can
Hmm.
you can get an infection or something.
Yes.
So you have
Eh,
to be careful.
yes.
Careful.
I mean, as I read earlier, it's the barrier to pathogens entering your
Hmm.
body.
That's
I
right.
mean, a crack in your skin can allow staph
Well, even if you don't have
inside
a
your
crack,
body.
let's face it, there are certain chemicals that even if you get them on your skin, it's
Or a
dangerous.
cut,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a good segue that I'm going to go right into my skin condition. So, as Susie said, your skin changes when you age. And the thing we've talked about in past episodes is inflammatory conditions continue to increase as we age and get more pronounced. And my aging inflammatory condition is chronic inflammatory skin. And
Mhm.
so, I think of it as like good news, bad news. Bad news is you can see it. Like you can see, okay, this is allergy season, or Margaret's really overheated, or, oh, she just got over a cold. Like all those things are true. So the way my skin looks, it's not because I've had sun exposure. This is my inflammatory condition, which is activated right now. And as we're speaking, it's early April, and I live in a place where we're at the height of bloom, and it's allergy season, and I'm just getting over a cold virus. And so all those things triggers my inflammatory skin
Mhm.
condition, which comes and goes throughout the year and is very sensitive to any pathogen entering the body. And so
Mhm.
it's what I deal with, and I'll talk about that more because I want to talk about the anti-inflammatory diet a little bit
Mhm.
later. Just be aware that inflammatory conditions do get worse as we age, and so and this is mine. This is mine, and it's interesting. I also have a little bit of osteoarthritis, which is another inflammatory condition. Of course, like there are lots of gut issues that are inflammatory conditions. So we have our different genetic predispositions,
Mhm. Mhm.
and mine is the skin. And so in a way, I see it as a good thing. It's like, okay, I know what's going on. And yes, I do have a bit of arthritis as well. But it's interesting, the anti inflammatory lifestyle I lead completely takes care of any arthritic pains, aches and pains, but it doesn't deal with this. Like for me to
Right.
be completely free of this chronic skin condition, I would need to stay indoors in a completely climate controlled environment, never take a bath for the rest of my life, never let my body get overheated, never let the sun touch it. And even though I have really good sunscreen, just warming the skin still triggers the inflammatory state. I would have to do so many things. Like I couldn't be out in nature, and I choose not to do that. I
Yeah,
choose
that
to
sounds
just
awful.
say, this is me. This is me, and I'm doing the best I can
Right,
here.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So so yeah.
Oh,
Any
goodness.
anything you want to say yet, Susie?
Well,
Because I can go on and on this. Yes,
I have to say, I've also developed a little bit of rosacea as I've aged. And my, when I was young, I had very oily skin and I had skin problems like acne. I think it was brought on hormonally and with stress and, just being young. The advantage, though, also I have really oily skin. So the advantage to that is now my skin isn't aging as fast.
uh-huh.
What's interesting, when I have the worst time with my skin is in the fall.
Oh.
And I think it's that transition from I can be out in the sun, I get a little bit of tan, I do wear sunscreen, but I get, and I try to not do too much sun anymore. But in the fall, my skin just gets really horrible. And it's
Uh-huh.
like flaky and oily. And it's weird. Then I have to really watch what I use on it. I have only certain soaps that I can use on my face.
Yeah.
Be really careful. And I use coconut oil on my face. I just buy the kind you cook with and put it on my face. And sometimes I use a little bit of a tinted moisturizer that's got sunscreen in it. But yeah, my skin is more sensitive as I've aged. And,
Yeah.
the advantage of having oily skin, again, is you don't wrinkle as much. I'm starting to get a few crow's feet, but I don't
Yeah.
wrinkle as much. But I think that everyone is different too.
Yeah.
Like I've got oily skin, my sister has dry skin, my husband has dry skin, and my daughter has dry skin. It's kind of like everybody's got a different kind of sensitivity on their skin. I
Yeah.
mean, some people can be out in the sun their whole dumb lives and not get skin cancer,
Mm-hmm.
whereas other people, my husband's had a few skin cancers, not they're not melanomas, but skin damage removed from his face.
Mm.
I worry about that it's going to become something worse, but he isn't always been careful about being in the sun. He wears a hat now, but he's not as careful as he should be. Yeah.
Let's talk in detail now, since you've started the discussion on our skincare routines.
Hmm.
And then the other question I wanted to ask you is, do you have a dermatologist, and how often do you see them? And
I
and
have
also your
been to
husband.
Yeah, I have been to a dermatologist and I haven't seen him in a few years, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I went and had a complete once over where they look at all your skin,
Hmm.
but it's been a while, to be honest with you. And
So
I
so
probably should
you
go
you
again.
maybe haven't had a reason to. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
every aging person needs to have a dermatologist that they see every year, just like not every aging person needs a cardiologist.
Well, the problem
But
with that
I
is
do
that
need
I
a
see,
dermatologist.
well, the problem with that I see though is if you live alone, and no one else gets to look at your skin, you may have something on your back or
Mm-hmm.
that you can't see. And it is sometimes, I think people as they age, if they're living alone, probably should have somebody look at their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
some people just like have say to their primary care when they go in, "Hey, could you look
Right,
at this?" And then
right.
they'll determine
Yeah.
whether you need
Yeah,
to
that's a good
go
idea.
to
Yeah.
the dermatologist. Do you want to start, or should I? What is your daily skincare routine?
I don't, I just sometimes now I don't wash my face with soap all the time. I use just a warm washcloth at night. And then if I shower, I use soap, a special soap, and then I put some coconut oil on my face. But
Hmm.
really, I don't have to do a lot to my skin. I'm pretty lucky that way. I'd like to find a good scrub, but so many of them irritate my skin now. But I'm careful about what I put on my skin. That's all there's to it. I
Yeah.
just don't have to do much.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
I'm
tell you,
fortunate there.
like anything and everything can irritate my skin. I can't even use warm water on my skin. I mean, I do when I shower, but I kind of keep my face out of it. And so I need to use cool water. So
Mm,
my daily routine is, well, starting at night, I use just a really mild cleanser totally hyperallergenic, no fragrances,
Mm-hmm.
because that will bother my skin. And then I use a really good moisturizer because they say when you sleep at night, that's when you want to get the moisture back in your skin, which
Mm-hmm.
my skin needs. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the morning, and the moisturizer helps with the inflammation too. And then in the morning, I just splash cool water on my face. My
Mm-hmm.
face is still clean from the night before, and I just splash cool water on, and then I have like a really good moisturizer with sunscreen that I put on right away because sometimes I'm outside within 30 minutes of getting up, or an hour. So I want the sunscreen on right away, and then I just keep reapplying that every 4 hours
Mm-hmm.
because that's how long my sunscreen lasts, and I know how long
Right,
it lasts.
right.
And
Yeah.
because I can't even wear a hat, or it can cut my skin. Like
Oh, goodness gracious.
that is how sensitive my skin is.
Yeah, I do use sunscreen in the summertime, and I have some facial sunscreen that I got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do try to put it on especially if I go south where it's more sunny. Yeah.
And then it's interesting on the dermatologist. I was going regularly early on when I first got the rosacea diagnosis, but then I kind of realized, well, even that, it's just treating the symptoms, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing really they can do. Like, I've got the diagnosis, so I know what to
Hmm.
do to just kind of live with it. And so then when I went more than a year, I couldn't get back in. It's like dermatology in
Oh,
where I live, it's the
oh,
most utilized practically of
oh,
all the
yeah.
different
Because you live in
specialties.
California. Yeah.
So now I schedule every year.
Mhm.
And perhaps if my dermatologist is looking at something that they're watching, they might have me come in more frequently, but not generally. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I have my next appointment next week, and I'm thinking they might be cutting some things off. So
Oh,
I
goodness.
thought to myself, should I be doing this episode afterwards? Okay, so they cut this.
Wow.
No, no,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I don't want to.
I'm glad that you have that opportunity to get in to see somebody. It's hard to get in to see a dermatologist here too. Yeah, it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is
Get
too,
us.
there are some apps that you can get that will help you screen skin things like cosmetics. There's one through the environmental working group that you just go to their app and they'll kind of give you a list of products that they recommend or don't recommend in terms of environmental impact, like may have more chemicals in them.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an app that I don't have that's called Yucca, which is Yuka. And my sister uses it. And what you can do with it is if you have it on your phone, you can scan products in the store before you purchase them.
And it
You can
tells
scan,
what the toxins are in the
yeah,
product.
yeah. You can do it on shampoos, lotions, creams, and food, actually. You can use it for food. And she does it all the time for cosmetic things. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Check it out. I think they might have a website too, because
Yeah, they
I
do, I think.
feel like I went there and looked some things up before the scanning
Hmm. Yeah,
option.
it's Yuka.
Hmm.
But I noticed that I joined the environmental working group because we talked about that before. They're the ones that put out the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 list for produce. They also have resources for cosmetics.
So, so we basically have addressed skin cancer, which is what people would probably be most concerned about with the skin.
Yeah,
And then I've talked about my inflammatory condition, but keep in mind that conditions of the skin can be related to a whole variety of diseases.
yeah,
Like
that's very true.
we now know that there's a form of psoriasis, which is autoimmune, right?
That starts on your skin, but then goes into an arthritic condition. My
Mm-hmm.
sister has it and started on her skin, just one spot,
Mm-hmm.
and then went internal. So be
Mm-hmm.
always very careful with that.
So be sure and when you see your doctor for a regular checkup, show them anything going on with your skin, even
Yeah.
if you know it's not cancer. It's like, oh, this is just a rash. Who cares? Like,
Right. But a
show
rash
them.
could be a lot of things. Yeah.
Show them, show them, show them.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then your primary will decide whether this is something they're equipped to diagnose or whether they want you to go on to a dermatologist or some other
Mhm.
type of doctor. With the skin conditions, I wanted people to be sure to understand that the science is that it's an indicator that our body's immune system is activated and working overtime.
Yeah.
And some inflammatory states go elsewhere in the body, like Susie just mentioned. Regardless of what we're doing to care for it, like all the things I do to keep my skin cool and such, the anti-inflammatory lifestyle that we've mentioned in the past episodes
Hmm.
are still
Hmm.
useful to have in your toolkit.
Right,
And
right.
so I don't know if you want to say anything about that now, but
Well,
I will just say be sure and refer back to our past
yeah,
episode.
there was, I think it was episode 5 where we talked about fats. There was a
Oh,
lot in there about the anti-inflammatory lifestyle, especially when you look at the types of fats that you're eating, like omega-3 fatty acids. It's basically a Mediterranean diet. The anti-inflammatory diet is lots of produce, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy things like olive oil and walnuts. The more things that you incorporate into your diet like that, the less processed foods that you have to consume.
mm,
And I think it can be very helpful for so many things, for your heart, for your skin, for your joints, everything. Yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing is hydration.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what cover. So go to our fats episode to cover the dietary components, and then we have individual episodes on other things that are anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Our basic catalog, almost everything's in
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory lifestyle
Yeah.
issue, hydration,
Hydration is so important for your skin. Yeah.
alcohol use,
Yeah. I mean,
our
just think of,
sleep, our exercise, all
you know,
those things.
I always think of real malnutrition shows up on your skin. I mean, most people in this country are not real malnourished. You know what I mean? I'm talking severe malnourishment, but it shows up on your skin for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, and Susie worked with the elderly. Don't forget there's skin inside your body too, and if you're malnourished,
Hmm.
it's hard to do an operation because they can't. I
Or
know
if you're
I felt that.
dehydrated, for instance, sometimes they can't even get an IV in,
Hmm.
if you have to have a procedure. Yeah. No, it's a very serious thing.
So consider the entire anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Look back at our other episodes. If you're dealing with something like I'm dealing with a chronic condition, keep in mind also stress management
Hmm.
and like constant moisturizing.
Hmm.
When you have like little rashes appear or something, keeping your skin super moist all the time and safe from sun exposure, in addition to the hydration,
Yeah.
extremely important.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when my inflammatory condition gets triggered, in a certain way, I just have to wait for allergy season to be over, or I have to wait for the virus to leave my body. But I mean, yes, I could take I could take an allergy pill, but I know that those allergy pills are dangerous on other organs in my body, and
Right.
all they're doing is masking a symptom. So
Right. Right. You're better to deal with the
I'm not going to do it.
symptoms. Yeah.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Well,
And
that's great information. I hadn't thought about allergy season in the skin, so that's really important. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I have to come home and just quickly rinse my face with cool water because
Hmm.
even just like getting pollen on my skin, I'm like, oh, my skin is
Well, yeah,
stinging like mad.
sometimes it even gets in your eyes. Yeah, and your eyes
Oh,
get,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, my
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. And some years are worse for pollen than others.
Mm.
Here we've had so much rain that I don't think the pollen's as bad quite yet, but yeah,
Yes. And here, not so
that's
much
all
rain.
great information.
That's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. Is there anything
Yeah,
else
I
you
don't
want to
think
say,
so. I don't
Susie?
think so. I think we're kind of running out of time, so I think that's good.
Well, I'm just going to leave with the 3 takeaways. I wrote 3 takeaways. Don't ignore your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your doctor about your skin as part of your regular visits.
Mm-hmm.
And treat your skin like every other organ in your
Yeah,
body.
treat your skin well. It needs to be treated well.
Hmm. So, do you want to say anything about subscribe or
Yes, please subscribe to our podcast. Look at our website, which is Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. That's SUSY.com. And like us. We like to be liked.
and we like you. And so, until next time, we
We are
are
staying
staying
alive.
alive.
You've been listening to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. This show is hosted by Margaret Cooley and Susy Hymas. To subscribe to our show, leave a comment or ask a question, please visit stayingalivewithmargaretandsusy.com. Our podcast is available on all major podcast platforms. If you've enjoyed our program, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for listening.